Okay, this doesn't matter, but I cared enough that I wanted to talk about it. So there's this episode of Spongebob called Sailor Mouth, where Bob Sponge, Square Kid, and Patrick learns a swear word.
Krabs is,
Mr. Krabs tells the two that bad language like that isn't okay, and that they should stop using the naughty word. The boys agree and then go back to SpongeBob's place to play a board game. Sponge-O ends up losing the game, swears, and Patrick runs off to tell on him. But the important part of this dumb video is their board game. Eels and Escalators. This game makes no sense. They're rolling dice that have pictures of eels or escalators on them, which dictate where the player goes next. Why? Why doesn't the game just use normal numbered dice to tell you how many spaces forward you should move? Why are there even all these blank spaces on the board if you can't land on them? And on that same topic, why are they rolling 2 dice? What if one lands on an eel and the other lands on an escalator? What do? Just roll 1! Credit where it's due, the board game is pretty consistently represented across the multiple different angles of it we see. They definitely didn't need to do that, especially since the game clearly wasn't intended to actually be playable. But a downside to that consistency is that it only makes the game even more baffling. Eels and Escalators is clearly ganking off of Snakes and Ladders, a board game where snake squares have you go backwards, and ladders let you jump ahead in a race to the finish. But for SpongeBob's game, it's not consistent. One of the escalators sends you backwards, and the very first eel you can land on takes you 1 space away from the finish line. You would be hoping to get eels on your first roll to jump straight to the end. But why is there even a finish line if it's impossible to land on anyway? You can't roll to get to the finish, you can only roll eel or escalator. And why would there be a designated you lose space on a game with a finish line? That'd be like if you were playing Candyland, but look out, don't land on this space or else you have to go to Diabetes Desert and lose. It doesn't matter how many other players are still going, you just have to stop playing, you loser. To be fair, there's a decent chance SpongeBob and Patrick aren't playing the game correctly. They're both creative boys, so it's not out of the question. Eels and Escalators' nonsensical layout and gameplay has just always bothered me ever since I first saw this episode like 20 years ago. Man, I'm old.
Watch your profanity.
Crabs. Isn't that the red sweaty guy you work for?